Assalamualaikum everyone. We are from Group 4. We'll be presenting case study for Hamidah. Before we start our presentation, we would like to introduce ourselves. Without further ado, let's begin with the case study summary. The case study is about Hamidah, who is a widow with 3 children who are still in school and studying at the university. She worked at the age of 55 to support her family as Hamidah's late husband left nothing for them to fall back to. Hamidah managed to secure a part-time job at a printing company and she was asked to do a night shift. She is also required to operate a paper cutting machine even though she does not have a specific skill to operate the machine. On the 3rd day of the work, Hamidah had an accident in the workplace where the cutting machine blade fell and hit her hand while she was putting the paper into the machine. As a result, Hamidah lost her hand because the whole right hand from the wrist had to be amputated. So, for the further discussion of Hamidah case study will be started by my friend Nur Atasha.
Assalamualaikum. The Employee Social Security Act 1969 is the law enacted in Malaysia to provide social security in Malaysia that has been administered by SOSO. It is to provide protection for the employee who have contributed and the protection also for the family. So all the employees who are employed under the term of contract at the full-time or part-time need to be registered under SOSO. To register under SOSO, it only use ID card number and the employer need to fill the Form 1 which is Employer's Registration and Form 2 Employee's Registration that can be accessed in SOSO portal, but it need to be registered in 30 days after hiring the new employee. There are 2 categories of contribution based on the 4th schedule. The first category is for the age less than 60 years old, and then for the second category is for the age 60 and above, also for the new employee who have reached 55 years old. Under the second category, the contributors get employee injury scheme only. The contribution rate is 1.25% paid by the employers. So the employee who has age 55 years old did not have any contribution before, their salary will not be deducted and they are liable for the second category. Next, for the Employee Provident Fund Act 1991, it is scheme saving for the employees after they are retired that can be used in the future. In Malaysia, it has been administered by Employee Provident Fund. It is monthly salary deduction for their retirement saving. The membership of EPF, he must be citizen of Malaysia, permanent resident of Malaysia, and for employees who have elected to contribute before 1 August 1998. The employers are responsible to register their employee within a week after employment. They need to prepare employees' wages statement. Once the employers have registered their employees to EPF, the employee will automatically become members. The other ways, the employee may register by themselves at the nearest kiosk. The employers also may help them using the employer's account. For the age of 55 years old, they are compulsory to contribute for account AMAS and account 55.
Yes, Hamidah is entitled to the Employees Social Security Act 1969 under the Employment Injury Insurance Scheme. In the Employees Social Security Act 1969, Section 2, Subsection 6, employment injury means a personal injury to an employee caused by the accident or occupational disease arising out of and in the course of his employment in an industry which this Act applies. While Hamidah was working at her part-time job at printing company, she was then injured, which caused she lost her right hand. First benefit that Hamidah is entitled under the Employment Injury Scheme is permanent disbarment benefits. In Section 22, Subsection B, a person who sustained permanent disbarment, whether total or partial, shall be entitled to periodical payment for such disbarment in accordance with the provision of the 4th schedule. Hence, Hamidah can apply for permanent disbarment benefit as the accident made her right hand amputate and dismiss her ability to perform the duties. Next, Hamidah is also entitled to claim for medical benefit. Section 15, Subsection F, medical treatment for an attendance on insured person suffering from disbarment as a result of employment injury sustained as an employee under this Act. An employee that contracts with any occupational disease or meets with an accident is entitled to treatment at a SOSO panel clinic or any government hospital or clinic. Hamidah medical bills will be settled by SOSO, and if there is any continuous treatment, it will be supported. Hamidah also can apply for reimbursement for medical expenditure if she went to non-SOSO panel clinic.
The third benefit is rehabilitation benefit. ASA 1969 Section 57 subsection 1 stated that an insured person suffering from invalidity or permanent disablement may be provided by the organization free of charge facilities for physical or vocational rehabilitation. In Hamidah case, with the permanent loss of her right hand, she is entitled to the benefit and can apply for a prosthetic hand if she wishes to have one. The last benefit is education benefit. According to ASA 1969 Section 57A, education benefit is in the form of loans or scholarship may be provided to a dependent child of an insured person who is in receipt of periodical payment of permanent disablement benefit. According to the case study, Hamidah has an adopted son aged 21 who is attending university. The adopted son is qualified and may apply to convert his loan into scholarship for education benefit at the diploma and degree level if his final academic result meets the SOCSO criteria and requirement.
The third question asks the procedure Hamidah should follow in order for her to get the benefits. The accident happened at the workplace makes Hamidah suffered with a permanent disability. Firstly, Hamidah must ensure her registration on the Employee Injury Scheme under the Social Security Organisation is legitimate and recognized by the employer and the organisation within 30 days. Next, she has 12 months to report a workplace injury. It is important for her to do it as soon as possible because the organisation will presume if an accident is not reported immediately, the employee was not seriously injured. Furthermore, it is compulsory to submit all the essential documents in order to claim the employee injury benefits. To support the idea, Section 54 in the Employee Social Security Act 1969 has mentioned every application for a benefits, pensions or invalidity grant must be made in the form and with the documentation required by the regulations to the appropriate body. Lastly, Hamidah also acquired to prepare a medical certificate. According to the Section 45 in the Act, the claimant of a disablement benefits or an invalidity pensions must attend and submit to any medical or examination so the organisation or a medical board shall deem necessary for ratification and enforcement certifications of the claimant incapacity or disablement. Therefore, all these procedures need to be followed by Hamidah for her to get the benefits in Employee Injury Scheme. The benefits shall not be granted if Hamidah failed to provide all the essential documents or the employee does not dispute the claim.
Okay, for question 4, it requires us to identify the right and protection in the Malaysia Employment Act 1955 given to the women employees. Well, under Employment Act 1955, there are 4 rights entitlement available to women workers and its regulation provide adequate level of protection to women. The first provision of the right and protection available to women workers under Employment Act 1955 is under Section 34 provision of night work. Under Section 34 subsection 1, employees are not allowed to require female worker to work after 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. However, Section 34 subsection 2 stipulates that employees can make an application of appeal in writing form to the Director General of Labour and it will be sent to the Minister for the exemption to this execution. And lastly, Section 34 subsection 3 said that the Minister has a power in making decision toward the exemption to this education. And however, this provision only applies to the industrial or agriculture undertaking and therefore women can still work at night in sectors such as commerce, hospitality, public health and entertainment. The second provision is provision of underground work. Under this section, underground works means that the work is performed during active underground execution which include drilling, blasting, rock bolting or soft soil work. While no female worker shall be employed in any underground work as working underground is dangerous and it requires extensive physical training. For the third provision is the provision of employment by the Minister. The Employment Act 1955 provides that despite any other provision of this part, the Minister may by order prohibit or approve the employment of female workers in the circumstance or on the terms set out in the order. Well, this section provides a right for the government to do a provision toward women employees. And this third provision is to ensure the female employee protection and to avoid any gender discrimination in the workplace. For the last provision is the maternity protection. While the Act provides that every female workers will be entitled to at least 60 consecutive days of paid maternity leave and payment during this period will come in the terms of maternity allowance which will be calculated as usual daily salary. However, there are some conditions such as in order to to be eligible for this allowance, the employees must have been employed by the employer for a total period for 90 days over 9 months during her pregnancy period, and a female worker who is not entitled to the maternity allowance if at any time of her confinement she has 5 or more surviving children. Okay, applying to the case of Hamidah, under Employment Act 1955, Hamidah is protected under Section 34, which is the provision of night work. As mentioned in the case above, Hamidah working hours start from 12 a.m. until 6 a.m. Under Section 34, Hamidah should not be working at such hours as female workers are not allowed to work after 10 p.m. If Hamidah employer wanted her to do work at night shift, the employee should apply and appeal in a writing form to the Director General of Labour. And Hamidah employer clearly fall by disobey Section 34 by asking Hamidah to work at night work. As a conclusion, in Employment Act 1955, female workers are protected with 4 rights which are under provision of night work, provision for underground work, provision of employment by minister, and lastly, a maternity protection for all female workers. And as a case of Hamidah, she is protected under Section 34, which is a provision of night work. And as a consequence of disobey Section 34, Hamidah employer may be fined not exceeding 10,000 ringgit.
That's all from us. Thank you.